1965.
Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion brings together business and community partners, economic development leaders, and educational providers to connect employers with qualified, skilled talent and job seekers with employment and career development opportunities. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of each month at 9:30 a.m. to Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion, and learn how they can help you.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala!
All right, 5 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Thursday morning. Beautiful looking day, by the way. About 3 years ago, you might have listened on September 11th or near September 11th, and I had invited an old friend to be our guest. He is James McCauley, Fire Chief James McCauley. When he and I were kids, we were kids together. He lived 2 houses down from me in North Merrick, New York, on Long Island. And it had, I don't know why, but at that point, I had never thought, I wonder what Jimmy did on September 11th, being a firefighter. And that day, he told us a lot of what he did. And I think some of it went in one ear and out the other. And I don't think I picked up on the fact that Jimmy was part of a fire patrol. I don't know that I even... Fire patrol, fire department, it all sounds like the same thing to me. But it's not. And there's a reason why we need to pay attention in this next interview as to the fact that there are 2, or there were 2. I think the fire patrol has since gone away. Jimmy posted on his Facebook page as his profile picture. If you're watching the video right now, I'm using Jimmy's profile picture. Not a picture of Jimmy. It's a picture of a plaque attached to a red building, red bricks behind it. It says, dedicated to the memory of Patrolman Keith Roma, Fire Patrol 2, who made the supreme sacrifice in the performance of duty operating at Manhattan Box, and I'm going to get this wrong, 558087, I think I'm reading it with my bad glasses, World Trade Center, September 11th, 2001. Keith Roma is not counted among the fire department casualties of the attacks of September 11th. The number is 343, and there's been an effort to try to add Keith's name to that number, so there would be 344. And for one reason or another, 15 years later, they still haven't done it. So we want to find out about this. And I started, what do you call that, a petition on change.org. I had never done a petition before in my life. I thought, this is a no-brainer. People are going to jump on this. People are going to say, my gosh, yes, we need to do this. And it sounds like everybody involved wants this to happen. So this should be a no-brainer. But yet, as of, 4 days ago I started this or something? As of right now, there's 17 signatures, and 2 of them are yours and mine, Robin.
Yeah.
So I don't know if people are sharing it and not signing it, or if they've got a problem with it. I can't imagine that. But Jimmy's on the phone right now. James McCauley. Good morning, Jimmy.
Good morning, Larry. How are you?
Pretty good. Where did we get you? Are you home?
Yes, I'm home.
Yeah. All right. First of all, thank you for agreeing to come on the air. And I know you said to me the other day that you absolutely don't believe that they will ever change their mind, meaning the fire department. You tell me why you don't think they'll change their mind.
Well, it is not really a complicated thing, but it really is. With all due respect to the FDNY, and I understand why they honored that number 343, because those were their members. The Fire Patrol was a separate organization started by the New York Board of Fire Underwriters in 1867, and it closed its doors in 2006. But we worked with the fire department. We were under their communication system. When we went to fire scenes, we were under their leadership, the chief's command post and things. So we were always with them. We are not... how should I say it? We are not members of FDNY. But the International Association of Firefighters has a chapter which FDNY is part of, and they also have a chapter which the Fire Patrol was part of. And the number 343, which is a FDNY number, is correct. But when the international president, Harold Scheitenberger, goes around the country and gives speeches, particularly around September 11th, and he continues to use the number 343, I feel it's not only an insult to all the members of the Fire Patrol, but definitely Keith Roma and his family, because they were the Fire Patrol was a dues-paying organization of Mr. Schattenberg's, and I might be mispronouncing his name, by the way. And he's still the president of the International now. And that's where my comments on that Facebook post come from.
The petition we started is a direct lift. I mean, I didn't write anything other than the best way to tell this story is to use the story written by Xavier Jackson for a website called Uniform Stories website. The only thing I took out was the word assholes. Yeah, he wrote on September 11, 2001, 19 terrorist assholes caused the deaths of 2009. I just took out the word assholes because I don't know who's going to see the petition.
Yeah.
Right, correct.
But anyway, so other than that, I really did it verbatim. So the plaque, tell me the story about the plaque. The plaque is on the building. Is Keith's name at the memorial site?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. His name is etched around the pools. His name is, I believe, on a. I don't know. I haven't been inside the museum. I understand that its picture and everything is in the museum too.
Okay.
So yeah, the plaque was put up by the New York Board of Fire underwriters on what was that was the firehouse that both of us came out of. See, this is confusing too. We use terms like firehouse and fire patrol, fire department, but the organization, again, like I said, it's 139 years old, and we have a rich history in New York City. But like the board put the plaque up on the building.
Can I say something to the audience and then ask you a question about what I'm going to say? Jimmy is a firefighter on Long Island in North America. In fact, he was the chief of the fire department, and it was a volunteer position. So what I think is, so the question is going to be about Keith specifically. But I mean, you were a firefighter on Long Island, but a fire patrolman in New York City.
Correct.
Obviously dedicating your life to the exact same thing in both places, just with a different name and under a different umbrella, I guess, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
So I know that you wrote, or I think Xavier wrote in the article, that Keith had been, I guess he was being not lured, but the other fire departments were trying to get him to go with them, and he said no. This was his dad. He was following in his dad's footsteps, right?
Yes, his dad was on the fire patrol, and I believe he became a Port Authority police officer after that.
Okay, so did Keith also serve in a volunteer capacity in another location as you did?
No, Keith didn't.
Okay.
No. He lived on Staten Island where, that was covered by FDNY.
Okay, so he was, and he looked pretty young in the photo I see. How old was he?
Keith was, I believe, like 28 years old. I could be wrong about
My
that,
goodness.
Larry. Yeah. He was a single parent. He had a daughter. Go ahead.
The other thing in the article, it says, by his colleague's count, and the colleague is the guy you wanted to switch off with, right? You wanted you wanted the day off.
John Sheehan.
Okay.
Yes. We do a thing called a mutual, and I needed off. I was working Monday. He was working Tuesday. I wanted off Tuesday. I wanted off Monday. And we were supposed to switch tours. Unfortunately, we didn't.
Unfortunately, you mean?
Well,
I guess it depends how you look at it.
Unfortunately. Yeah, it depends how you look at it. Fortunately, we didn't.
For those who don't remember, the attacks of September 11th was a Tuesday. So Jimmy, in other words, had that switch taken place, you would have been in his place, and he didn't die though.
Correct.
Explain what happened to him.
No, it was. It's just by chance. When the building came down, people were running, and you get caught up. I believe it's a suction element of when the wind and everything.
When the building came down.
Keith got blown, and the building came down, and Keith got blown into one area, and John Sheen got blown into the other area.
My goodness.
And I told you the other day the story of when the dust, bad pun, settled, John, tried to get himself up. He did. He heard someone's voice, and he was reaching out with his hand, and he grabbed the person and helped them up, and they got out of the area there. And he had thought that it was Keith that he was helping, and it turned out it was just another civilian because Keith wasn't near him. Yeah.
Wow. And that would have been you if you were lucky.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, if you were lucky. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking to you today. And I wouldn't have found out that my childhood friend had perished in that terrible attack, probably for a long time. I don't know how I would have found that out. Because Facebook is kind of what got us back together. I was able to reconnect with some of the people that I grew up with, and Jimmy being one of them. Probably the closest one that I got back together with.
You'd have thought, though, that they would have included Keith's name because according to the article, the fire department of New York offered him a position with them a few times, but he wanted to stay with the fire patrol.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Robin. Why don't they just offer it to him now? Say, posthumously, you're a member of the FDNY.
I can't answer that. I don't know. That part I don't know anything about, so I really,
What I wanted to say is that the article points out that the colleague that you just told us about, the guy you were going to switch with, said that Keith saved over 200 lives. He made no less than 4 trips up the Tower 1 staircase. At one point, he helped a barefoot woman carrying her over broken glass. He was last seen alive at Command Post Tower 1. And his body wasn't found till New Year's Eve. Christmas Eve, right?
Christmas Eve, yes.
Yeah. So we started a petition. And for the listeners, guys, please share and sign the petition. And Jimmy, you're on board with this, right? I mean, you're okay with me doing this?
I have no problem with you doing it, but like I said to you the other day, Larry, I think the petition, instead of being aimed at Commissioner Nigro of the FDNY, this petition should be aimed at President Harold A. Scheitenberg.
Oh, okay.
Scheitenberger, and because there is a legit. Now that is the thing that does anger me. The International Association of Firefighters should be recognizing Keith, because he was a dues-paying member on the day that he died of that union.
All right, so I need to change the wording a little bit, and I need to get the right name in there. Okay, so Nigro is not the guy. So Harold A., how do you spell his last name?
Scheitberger.
Berger. Okay, Scheitberger. We there was a firefighter who used to be the chief here, Robin?
Yes.
Studov?
Yep, Brian Studoff.
I spoke to the veterans this morning. We have a veterans organization. Once they heard the story, they're going to share this. Chief Studoff that Robin was just talking about, he has since retired, but he's also from Long Island, I think, by the way. I think so. And he retired from the Ocala Fire Department, and he is going to share it as well with the folks he knows. And if you're listening and you can share it, I will correct who it's because I didn't know what to do, how to make a difference.
No, it's very frustrating, Larry. I mean, even I worked 27 years in the city. It's very frustrating when you start describing, what you do for a living, and everyone always assumes it's fire department. But
yeah. And the fire patrol is no longer in existence because of insurance reasons, right?
It's no longer in existence partially. Now, this is a personal opinion because we lost a person on 9/11, and then we started having members who were working the month previous on the pile down at the Trade Center started to get sick, and some have perished. So, from cancer. So I think it was a thing where the insurance company, being the lovely people that they are, decided to cut their losses.
Gosh.
I wanted to. Have you looked at the petition and seen the comments people have left?
No, I haven't.
Can I read you some of them?
Sure.
Josephine Thompson, who you and I know as Josie Rizzo when she was younger, wrote, "He deserves to be counted among the heroes." Mariah Dixon said he needs to be in the wall. I think she maybe misunderstood what we were doing. Kathy Dixon from here in Summerfield, not too far from Ocala, "I feel this is an injustice and this man should be recognized as a hero." Frank Celestino is a gentleman who is a retired firefighter from the city of New York. And this is what he wrote. He wrote, "Lost 2 firemen in a fire in Wooster Street, New York City, along with 4 fire patrolmen from Fire Patrol number 1. The date was February 14th, 1958. That's what he wrote. And he signed the petition.
Gosh.
So he remembers something
that's true.
similar from 1958.
Yep.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Well, the job we had, if anyone knows anything about firefighting, was dangerous in the fact that we always operated on the floor below the fire. So we would be doing our operations and always, the weight of not only what the floor is, but the water that's being used to put the fire out, there were collapses. And that's what happened to those gentlemen in 1958.
Oh.
But it sounds like the job that you had at hand in the case of the World Trade Center attacks wasn't exactly the same, and so rescuing people became the only thing you could really do.
At that point, yes, right.
Yeah, because there's no way you're going to throw a tarp on a 100-story building.
No.
Wow.
You are amazing. You and your men.
Yeah, it is really amazing. And the fact that they closed it kind of left you in a lurch, too, because that was your career. Everything you did on Long Island was completely for free. You did it as a volunteer.
Correct. So, it was a rough period of time starting over at 51 years of age. So.
And you don't, you really, did you go to the ceremony on September 11th?
Downtown, no. No, what was, this is a shame of the Fire Patrol closed, too, because after 9/11, what we did was we always had a mass at our firehouse. And then the guys would get together and we would drive out to Staten Island and we would put flowers on Keith's grave. And it was a nice way to celebrate, I shouldn't use the term celebrate, but to remember Keith. And unfortunately now with the job closing, that has gone by the wayside. A few of us who live on Long Island get together on that day, but that's basically all we do.
Yeah, and may I mention also that you lost a nephew years later from inhaling the dust and the pollutants that came out of that fire.
Yeah, my nephew Brian McCauley passed, yeah.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about is underneath the comment area of the article itself that I used for the petition, somebody wrote that there were some retired firefighters who also died and came back to help. And they're not included either. Is there a drive to get their names added to the list?
I believe there is, but again, this is I can't speak on fact of this, but I hear that there's a lot of legalities as far as that, because what they're due and not due as far as monies from the the funds that have been established for the the firefighters that have passed.
Okay.
So
the petition that I started, just so that I can explain my ignorance about petitions, because I've never done one before. This is the first time I've ever done one. But when I read the instructions, what it sounds like is the people who can make a difference here don't even find out about this unless they stumble upon it or somebody shows it to them, until I say, okay, let's send it to the person. So Mr. Nigro Commissioner Nigro he probably doesn't even know we're doing this. And what I'll do when I get off the air later on, I'll change this and I'll look up the address and other for Harold A. Scheitberger. He's with the International Association of Firefighters. Did I write that right?
Yes, he's the president. Yes.
President. Okay. And so, what would we actually be asking him to do? To change the number in his when he makes his presentations?
Yes, I believe that any time that he mentions it, if you're going to talk about the actual membership of his that died that day, the number would be 344.
My gosh, it is such an easy request.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the stubbornness. Has he addressed this at all, or has anybody addressed him about this?
No, not to my knowledge. I don't believe they have. So
Okay.
I'm chuckling because a year after there was a memorial service held that Keith's family was included in Madison Square Garden, and Mr. Scheitenberger happened to show up at a tavern that was around the corner from the garden, and my nephew got into a verbal
so he's
good for him.
about it.
okay. Is that the nephew who has passed?
Yes.
My good. Okay, so he knows. I mean, he obviously knows. Then from that,
I believe he knows. But it's I believe he knows, but it's like he wants to do the popular thing, and not the
Not the right.
He wants to take the easy route. Probably.
Oh, okay.
He wants to take the easy route.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everyone in America now knows the number 343. And this is a situation that I don't think he wants to be bothered with.
except for the
That's
fact.
my opinion. personally.
Except that if you're right, and popular is the key word, we're going to make it popular to change it.
Yes.
I hope.
Okay.
We need
I
help.
hope
We
so.
need help for the listeners. I know this is a small show, a small station. I'm not trying to. No, Jimmy knows. I'm not. By the way, you got a big time guy who could help. The guy who bought the building,
That's right.
Anderson Cooper. He owns the building that used to be Fire Patrol too.
Yes, he lives there now. Yes.
We better write.
So does
And
he?
to his credit, he hasn't removed any of the plaques, so I think that's great of him.
I know, and since he hasn't removed them, he'd be. Gosh, he might be the guy to make this the big issue.
We should write him.
You think he'll listen to us?
I do.
Robin has a way with famous people.
We should do that.
I don't. All right, I don't know. Jimmy, thank you for coming on the air to talk to us about this. Let me see. We do have some people watching. I put it on Facebook that you'd be on here today. So let me show you a picture, Jimmy.
Okay.
I found a picture of you. This right now, Keith is on there, but I do have a picture of Jimmy from his Facebook page. There he is. Who's the pretty lady with you? She's in a blue top. You're in your white uniform. Who is that?
It's probably my wife.
Could be. I don't know. That's what I was.
My wife, Karen. I would assume so.
That's what I was.
Is that the latest picture I have on Facebook?
I don't know. So you got a white hat, and she's got a blue top, and she's holding a cup of something, beer or something.
Oh, yes. That was a picture taken a couple of weeks ago. We hosted the 6th Battalion parade down here in North America.
Oh, wonderful.
And
Fun.
I'm not a sports guy. Jimmy knows this, but everybody I know who likes baseball on Long Island, from my era anyway, is a Mets fan.
That's right.
And I got a picture of Jimmy here with his Mets uniform. By the way, you know what I want to do? My son wants to go to a concert in Radio City Music Hall on October 5th.
Yes.
So I'll be up there that week. I'll come out on if my son wants to go. We'll go out there. We'll knock on your door. We'll say, "Hey, you want to play cards?" but you know what I want to do?
You're more than welcome, Larry.
I want to go to Citi Field. Do I have to pay? Do I have to pay for parking if I go to Citi Field? Will they let me there?
Yes.
Because when Alex was little, he ran the baseline at Shea Stadium.
Okay.
Yeah, and so now the
believe it
bases.
or not,
Go ahead.
They kept the actual bases are in the parking field.
I know. I read this.
Stadium. Yeah.
So I said to Alex, Alex is now 30 years old. I said, you could run the bases again. They're
That's
still
right.
there.
That would be fun.
Except now they won't yell at me for putting my knee on the grass.
Yeah.
So,
how fun.
there you are. I got a handsome group of people here. One more picture I want to show. This is in front of the fire truck at the North Merrick Fire Department, and the number 2 is on front of the truck. Is that the number of the truck?
That's my company, yes.
Company 2. So you're always with the 2.
Yeah, it seems to be. Yeah.
Have you played it in the lottery? One number. That doesn't do much, does it?
No, anything with 2s in it. Maybe.
All right. Jimmy, I'm going to correct whatever I did wrong on this petition, but the petition is still good. For the listeners, please share it and sign it. You don't. It's up to you to sign it. If you read it and you agree with what we're trying to do, it just makes no sense at all that somebody who died helping lives can't be recognized among people who consider him a brother.
Exactly.
I'm sure the firefighters all agree with this. I can't imagine them disagreeing.
I can't see why they would either. Like I said, is if it's done through like the international, then there is obviously no argument. But
right.
FDNY, I do understand their reasoning.
All right. I wasn't looking at the clock, and we're up. We got like 22 seconds. James McCauley. Jimmy, thank you so much for being on the air with us today, and I hope we can make a difference.
I hope so too, Larry. Thank you.
All right. We will be right back. This is WOCA Ocala.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. Some companies in downtown Charlotte, North Carolina, telling their employees to stay home as the city reels from a second night of protests over a police shooting.
It all began as a peaceful protest in uptown Charlotte, but then when that protest ended, when that rally ended, many of the protesters went peacefully to a local church, but another group remained on the streets, clashing with police and other civilians. There is that civilian shooting that left someone in critical condition.
Fox's Jonathan Seri. Presidential candidates gearing up for Monday night's debate. Donald Trump, who campaigns in Pennsylvania today, told Fox and Friends this morning how he plans to treat Hillary Clinton.
I'm going to be very respectful of her. I think she deserves that, and I'm going to be nice.
And claims of first-time jobless help last week falling to the lowest level since July. Fox News, we report, you decide.